Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In our previous lecture series, we have covered the concepts of phonetics and phonology. But in today's session, we will start a separate playlist for morphology. So I welcome you guys in lecture number 1 of morphology. So in this video, we will cover some basic concepts of morphology, in which we will discuss the introduction, and we will discuss morpheme, types of morphemes. So let's start the first video with the introduction of morphology. So coming towards the introduction of morphology, our word morphology is basically Greek in origin, and its terminology means that it is a discourse of form or structure of anything. And formerly it was studied as a discipline of biology, but Wolfgang von Goethe was first linguist who used this term in linguistics. So after this, when it became a separate branch of linguistics, we used to start studying discourse of or form of the structure of the words. Now let's come towards the definition of morphology, which were given by different linguists. So Frege and Sackless give the definition of morphology as the part of linguists that studies grammar, grammatical properties of words, and relation of words with one another. Coming towards the second definition, which is more comprehensive and detailed definition, and it defines morphology as the study of affixes and morphemes. यानी कि हम morphology के अंदर स्टडी करेंगे affixes की, कि affixes का क्या रोल होता है वर्ड्स की फॉर्मेशन के अंदर, और morphemes का क्या रोल होता है वर्ड की फॉर्मेशन के अंदर. Coming towards the second line, which is it is the concerned with the formation of words from lexemes through lexicalization and inflection also. यानी कि दूसरी प्रॉपर्टी मॉर्फोलॉजी के अंदर जो यानी कि हम स्टडी करेंगे वो होगी कि हम लेक्सीम से वर्ड कैसे बनाएंगे. एंड द थर्ड विल बी द प्रोसेस ऑफ वर्ड फॉर्मेशन, यानी कि डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस होते हैं जिसकी मदद से हम लिंग्विस्ट्स जो है वो वर्ड्स को क्रिएट करते हैं, जिसमें बैक फॉर्मेशन, क्लिपिंग, ब्लेंडिंग, coinage are some of the processes which linguists use. Coming towards the third definition, which was given by Custis and McCarthy, which is language is the area of grammar concerned with the structure of words and relationship between words, including morphemes which compose them. Now let's discuss the important terminologies, and one of them is morpheme, which we are going to hear more and more in morphology. Now, the definition of morpheme is the smallest meaningful grammatical unit of language, capable of changing the meaning and word category or grammatical category of word. यानी morpheme language का वो smallest, छोटे में से छोटा meaningful unit होता है जो या तो word की meaning change करेगा या word की category change करेगा. The second property of morpheme is morpheme can vary in length from a lexeme to पार्ट ऑफ वर्ड. यानी कि मॉर्फीम की जो लेंथ है वो एक लेक्सीम या एक वर्ड जितनी भी हो सकती है या फिर एक पार्ट ऑफ वर्ड जितनी भी हो सकती है. जैसे कि फॉर एग्जांपल हमने 3 एग्जांपल नीचे लिए हैं, जिसमें द नंबर फर्स्ट एग्जांपल इज़ मूवमेंट. नाउ मूव इज़ ऑल्सो अ मॉर्फीम, मेंट इज़ ऑल्सो अ मॉर्फीम. अगर हम दोनों को देखें तो मूव एक वर्ड भी है, एक मॉर्फीम भी है, लेकिन मेंट एक वर्ड नहीं है लेकिन वो एक मॉर्फीम है. सिमिलरली इन क्लासीफाई, क्लास एक मॉर्फीम भी है, एक वर्ड भी है, लेकिन ईफाई और IFY इज़ अ मॉर्फीम बट इट इज़ नॉट अ वर्ड. एंड नंबर लास्ट विच इज़ फ्लाई. अब फ्लाई एक मॉर्फीम भी है और वो एक वर्ड भी है. अब आते हैं कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स पर कि मॉर्फीम किस तरह से एक वर्ड की क्लास या उसकी जो कैटेगरी है वो चेंज कर सकता है. Now, if we look at the word move is verb, but if we add ment as a suffix to move, it will be changed from verb to noun. Similarly, class is a noun, but if we add IFY morpheme to class, it will become classify, or it will be changed from noun to verb. Now let's move towards So in classification of morphemes, we will find that morphemes are basically classified into 2 categories, which are bound and free morphemes. Now, Bound morphemes and free morphemes. Bound morpheme is further divided into derivational morpheme and inflectional morphemes, while free morphemes are divided into lexical and functional morphemes. Now we will discuss one by one. Let's come towards bound morphemes first. Bound morphemes are those which cannot stand alone, or they do not provide meaning in isolation, or they act as affixes in the words. Bound morphemes basically alter the grammatical category as well as meaning of the words. Now this is very important point which needs to be noted down. When bound morphemes act as prefix in the words, they usually change the meaning. I mean, in most of the cases, they change the meaning of the words. They make its opposites. While when they act as suffixes, they change the grammatical category or word class of the word, but they do not change meaning of the word. Now we will examine further in the examples. You can find that in prefix word do, there is a word do, but if we add a prefix un in front of it, it becomes undo. Now do and undo both are verbs, but they both vary in their meanings. Similarly, the word sufficient is an adjective, but if we add in front of it, it becomes insufficient. Now sufficient and insufficient both are adjectives, but they vary in their meanings. Same as the case with qualify and disqualify. These both are verbs, but they vary in their meanings. Similarly, place and misplace both are verbs, but they both are opposite in their meanings. The same is the case with functional and dysfunctional. Now let's come towards suffix. Now let's discuss the example thank and thankful. Now thank is verb, but if we add the suffix full in front of it, it becomes adverb thankful. The second example is investigation. Now investigate is verb, but if we add suffix ion in last of the investigate, it becomes investigation, and the word class is changed from verb to noun. Same is the case with screening. Screen is used as noun or as verb also. So it changes grammatical category from noun to verb, or from verb to its genitive case. In the fourth example, clear to clearly, the suffix changes clear adjective from adjective to adverb, and word manages noun, and if we add meant in front in last of it, it becomes the noun management. And the same is the case with word hidden. Hidden becomes its past participle. Now let's come to the derivational morphemes. Now derivational morphemes are used to drive other words. They play active role in word class conversion. They are either class changing or class maintaining, as we had already discussed in the characteristics of bound morphemes, that on the basis of their role as prefix or suffix, they will either change the class of the word or the meaning of the word. Now let's go through some of their examples. In example number 1, I have written word active. Now active is an adjective. If we add suffix ate, it becomes activate. Now the adjective is changed into verb. Similarly, if deactivate, now activate and deactivate, these both are verbs, but if we add prefix, the meaning is totally different and it becomes opposite. While if we add ion in the last of deactivate, it becomes deactivation. Verb is again changed into the noun. Now the same is the case with example number 2 and 3. Consider is a verb. If we add the suffix ion in front of it, in the last of it, it becomes consideration. But if we add reconsideration, is also, it means that it becomes change in meaning. In example number 3. Now in example number 3, join is a noun. For example, we consider it as a noun. If we add t in the end of it, it becomes joint, which can be used as a verb. But if we add prefix dis in front of it, it becomes opposite in its meaning, and it becomes disjoint, which is totally different in meaning from the word joint. Now let's discuss about the inflectional morphemes. Inflectional morphemes are totally 7 in number, and they are meant to maintain word class and also they maintain the meaning of the word, and they act as suffix. And suffixes, inflectional morphemes are those morphemes, यानी कि inflectional morphemes वो morphemes होंगे जो कि वर्ड्स क्लास को, यानी कि जो पार्ट्स ऑफ स्पीच, जो भी वर्ड जिस पार्ट ऑफ स्पीच से बिलोंग करेगा, इन्फ्लेक्शनल मॉर्फीम के ऐड होने के बाद भी वो वही रहेगा, उसकी कोई भी वर्ड क्लास चेंज नहीं होगी, उसकी कोई भी मीनिंग चेंज नहीं होगी, जस्ट उसकी कुछ ग्रामेटिकल मीनिंग के अंदर इजाफा हो जाएगा. Inflectional is the process in which new words are created from single lexeme. Now we need to understand the difference between lexeme and words first. जो लेक्सीम होता है वो बेसिक जो वर्ड जहाँ से शुरू होता है, यानी कि रूट वर्ड को हम लेक्सीम कह सकते हैं. लेकिन अगर उस वर्ड के अंदर किसी किस्म की मीनिंग के अंदर कोई चेंज नहीं आता, अगर उसके अंदर उसकी कोई ग्रामेटिकल कैटेगरी के अंदर कोई बड़ा चेंज ना आए, तो वो वर्ड कहलाएगा. अब इन 7 चेंजेस के जो हम नीचे डिस्कस करने जा रहे हैं, इसके अंदर जो भी चेंज आ जाएगा वो वर्ड कहलाएगा, यानी कि उसका जो बेसिक फॉर्म होगा वो भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे, लेकिन उसके बाद हम जब इसके अंदर इन्फ्लेक्शनल मॉर्फीम ऐड करेंगे और वो वर्ड बन जाएगा, वो भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे. नाउ लेट्स डिस्कस द फर्स्ट इन्फ्लेक्शनल मॉर्फीम इज़ एस प्लूरल. नाउ एस प्लूरल इज़ यूज टू मेक कैपिटल्स. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, boy to boys, car to cars. Now boy is lexeme, boys is word. Now boy and boys, these both are single the same thing or same object, but the difference is in the capital. The one is singular and other is capital. Second is S possessive. It shows possession or ownership, like Ahmed's, boys, cousins. It shows the ownership or the possession of something. The third is S third person singular, which is used to make the singular represent the singular verbs, like in walks, likes, meets, which we usually use in present indefinite tense. Ed past tense, like in worked, cooked, watched, looked, which we use in the regular verbs to make their past tense. And the next is en past participle, which is usually used in the irregular verbs. The third one is en past participle, is in eaten, hidden, driven, stolen. Next is er comparative, which is used to make comparative degrees of adjectives, is in hard to harder, quick to quicker, fast to faster. And the next one is est, superlative degree, which is used to make the superlative degrees of adjective, is from harder to hardest, quicker to quickest, faster to fastest. Now let's come to free morphemes. That what are the free morphemes? The morphemes which can provide complete content meaning in isolation, and their length is not smaller than a lexeme. यानी कि फ्री मॉर्फीम्स वो होंगे जो कि अगर हम आइसोलेशन के अंदर रखें तब भी वो अपनी एक कंटेंट मीनिंग देंगे, और उनकी जो लेंथ है वो कभी भी एक लेक्सीम से कम नहीं होंगी. यानी कि जब भी हम किसी मॉर्फीम को तोड़ेंगे, जब वो एंड के अंदर भी बचेगा, वो एटलीस्ट एक फ्री मॉर्फीम ही बचता है, जिसका हमने एग्जांपल लिया है इनफॉर्म, आइडिया, होप एंड बग. नाउ ये जो भी मॉर्फीम्स हैं इनको हम फर्दर ब्रेक नहीं कर सकते, इसलिए इन्हें हम फ्री मॉर्फीम्स कहते हैं. और या फिर अगर हम इन्हें अलहदा से रखेंगे तो इनकी अपनी कोई मीनिंग होगी. जैसे हमने बाउंड मॉर्फीम्स के अंदर डिस्कस किया, हमने मैनेजमेंट का एग्जांपल लिया था, हमने क्लासीफाई का एग्जांपल लिया था, जिसमें हम अगर मेंट और IFY को अलग कर रहे थे तो उनकी अपनी आइसोलेशन के अंदर या अकेली इनकी इंडिविजुअल कोई मीनिंग नहीं बन रही थी. नाउ लेट्स कम टुवर्ड्स लेक्सिकल मॉर्फीम्स. नाउ लेक्सिकल मॉर्फीम्स आर दोज फ्री मॉर्फीम्स विच आर आल्सो कॉल्ड ओपन क्लास मॉर्फीम्स. यानी कि ये वो मॉर्फीम्स होते हैं जो कि वोकेबलरी के अंदर इजाफा करवाते हैं, इसलिए हम इन्हें ओपन क्लास मॉर्फीम्स भी कहते हैं. और इन मॉर्फीम्स के अंदर आ जाते हैं नावास. नावा किसे कहते हैं हम? नावा लेक्सिकल कैटेगरी के मॉर्फीम्स होते हैं, यानी कि नाउन, एडजेक्टिव, वर्ब और एडवर्ब्स को हम नावा के नाम से जानते हैं, क्योंकि ये हमने पहले भी बताया कि ये these categories of morpheme is responsible for expansion in the vocabulary. They use neologism and interconversion to create the words, as we have discussed in the bound morphemes. And that these morphemes actually undergo several processes, different processes, and they actually get their placed in dictionary also. That is the reason that they are called lexical morphemes. Now coming towards the functional morpheme. Functional morphemes include prepositions, articles, determiners, conjunctions, and auxiliary verbs. Now the characteristic of functional morpheme is that it acts as a tie between, it acts as a bond that joins the lexical morphemes together in the sentences, but they do not have the content meaning but grammatical function. जैसे कि हम एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं prepositions की, articles की, determiners की, conjunctions की, auxiliary verbs की. अगर हम नावा का एग्जांपल लें तो नावा अगर हम इंडिविजुअली डिक्शनरीज के अंदर चेक करेंगे तो उनकी कोई ना कोई मीनिंग होती है, लेकिन जब हम फंक्शनल मॉर्फीम्स की बात करेंगे तो फंक्शनल मॉर्फीम का सिर्फ अपना एक रोल होता है. जब वो किसी भी सेंटेंस के अंदर यूज़ करेंगे तो वो उन नावा को, उन लेक्सिकल मॉर्फीम्स को ज्वाइन करके एक पूरा सेंटेंस का स्ट्रक्चर देने के अंदर हेल्प देगा. ये एक लेक्सिकल और फंक्शनल मॉर्फीम के अंदर डिफरेंस है. अब इसके एग्जांपल्स टू दी ए एंड दीज या आप देख लें, ये इसके कुछ एग्जांपल्स हैं. नाउ thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you will like today's video. If you have any question, do ask in the comment section. Thank you very much. We will meet in the next video.